finally doesn't bother me, and no one really cares. This is me now lost, gone forever still.
I don't have to tell you things are bad. Everybody knows things are bad. It's a depression. Everybody's out of work or scared of losing their job. The dollar buys a nickel's worth. Banks are going bust. Shopkeepers keep a gun under the counter. Punks are running wild in the street, and there's nobody anywhere who seems to know what to do, and there's no end to it. We know the air is unfit to breathe, and our food is unfit to eat. We sit watching our TVs while some local newscaster tells us that today we had 15 homicides and 63 violent crimes, as if that's the way it's supposed to be. We know things are bad, worse than bad. They're crazy. It's like everything everywhere is going crazy, so we don't go out anymore. We sit in the house, and slowly the world we're living in is getting smaller, and all we say is, please, at least leave us alone in our living rooms. Let me have my toaster and my TV and my steel-belted radios, and I won't say anything. Just leave us alone. Well, I'm not going to leave you alone. I want you to get mad. I don't want you to protest. I don't want you to riot. I don't want you to write to your congressman because I wouldn't know what to tell you to write. I don't know what to do about the depression and the inflation and the Russians and the crime in the street. All I know is that first, you've got to get mad. You've got to say, I'm a human being. God damn it. My life has value.
Wow, guys. My life has value. You need to get mad. I don't know about you, but things are bad out there. I don't know if you're seeing it like I'm seeing it, but things are bad. Things are real bad. Everything from the lawfare going on, from corrupt judges, corrupt politicians, the mainstream media lying to us on every front, and then attacking anybody they have a problem with, anybody that says something they don't like. How long is this going to go on for? How long are we going to keep being victims to these people, man? Hopefully not for much longer. November is right around the corner. Guys, get mad. Get mad and show up to the polls and vote these people out. It has to happen, man. This has to happen. Lots of stuff going on today. Lots of headlines. Lots of things that are kind of unexplainable at this point. It's really, it seems obvious at this point that something is brewing. Something big, something they're not telling us about yet again. Sweep it all away, hide it, keep it hidden. Silence the voices of those who tell the truth. Alex Jones, the latest victim of this particular weaponized justice system. $1.5 billion a judge has just decided he has to pay to victims of the Sandy Hook incident. And in doing this and paying this money, they've decided they're going to shut down InfoWars and part it out for scraps to help pay the bill. Guys, let's be really honest. This isn't justice taking place here. This is the silencing of a voice telling the truth. And if it's about lies, which they try to claim, Alex Jones is a liar, he's a liar, this is why he told lies and now we're going to make him pay for it. If it's truly about lies, then why aren't we seeing all these other news organizations paying for their lies? Why aren't we seeing news organizations paying for the COVID misinformation that was spread? I remember one Mad Owl telling everybody that all you had to do was get the shot and you're 100% protected. That turned out to be a lie. How about the news media telling us the shots were 100% safe, but that turned out to be a lie? How about the Russian collusion stuff? That turned out to be a lie. How long before these mainstream media organizations are going to be parted out for scraps, huh? My guess is they won't because they're being paid to tell these lies. InfoWars is on there telling the truth, so they get silenced and they get shut down and they have their bank accounts drained to prevent them from saying anything else. This is a silencing of the truth, guys. Big things going on in Congress and in the White House and up in Washington, D.C., apparently. Seeing some major headlines coming out of that area. Not really major headlines because, again, the mainstream media is not reporting on this stuff. But in the back channels, we're finding out there's things happening. What is going on in Washington? What's going on in this country at this point? What is happening to freedom? I don't know, guys. We're going to talk about all of that and more right here on the Southern Drawl Podcast on Southern Traditions. Let's get it! So right off the bat here, let's talk about this InfoWars and Alex Jones situation because something is going on. And, you know, the fact that they were trying to get him for trillions of dollars. What court orders in a civil lawsuit trillions of dollars? Talk about your character assassination, man. Talk about just an absolute corrupt injustice going on here. Here's one of the latest headlines or headlines. This is just being shared in the back channels because we don't get factual headlines on the mainstream media. So here we see a federal judge has approved the auction of Alex Jones's company, InfoWars, in order to compensate Sandy Hook families. According to summary judgment, these families were originally entitled to $2.75 trillion, though damages were reduced to a little over $1 billion. $1 billion for making comments, for saying things that people didn't like. Boy, this is incredible. And the fact that this judge has ordered his company to be dissolved on account of it, to pay for it. I mean, this is incredible. I don't understand how this is even possible. That they could pull a stunt like this. We've been told Alex Jones is the enemy. That's the mainstream media's take. He's a conspiracy theorist nut job. Don't listen to this guy. Don't give him the time of day. Don't buy into his stuff. Don't listen to anything he has to say. He's horrible. He's evil. He's no good. At least that's what this lady here thought. Miss Kathy Burnett. She says she was backstage at a Tucker Carlson live tour, and then all of a sudden, Alex Jones comes walking around the corner and goes to speak with her. I want to read to you what she had to say about Alex Jones. So she said, I was backstage at the Tucker Carlson live tour, was having a meeting with some friends, and Alex Jones walked around the corner and just paused, leaned against the wall, and said hello. A friend of mine started recording this interaction. In the past, when describing someone who's been tagged by the powers that be as an undesirable or someone the rest of us should avoid at all cost, I would say with a smirk, he or she is the Alex Jones of Pennsylvania, for instance. But one day after saying this, I paused long enough to ask myself, why am I not supposed to like him? I don't follow him. I don't know him. I don't watch InfoWars. At the time, I didn't know much about him at all, except that I wasn't supposed to like him. The ultimate mind control is when you don't like someone because you've been instructed not to like them. That's a very good point you make, Miss Burnett. And you don't even know why you don't like them. Crazy, I know, but we're all doing it. These are real people with real lives and real families, and some of them have been destroyed, and most of us have fed into the feeding frenzy. I find Alex Jones to be kind, surprisingly calm energy, but he's no beta male. I could sense that right away, she says. Last night, Alex Jones started going on and on while on stage with Tucker about spider goats. Yeah, you read that right, spider goats. And then, as he was speaking, he said, go look it up. So I did, right there on the spot. OMG, spider goats are real. Who knew? Perhaps if we listened more to people, even if they don't say it the way you would say it, we would all be better off and our country wouldn't be drowning right now. Well, that is just a very interesting take that Miss Burnett has taken there. Let's listen to her little interaction here with Alex Jones as they met backstage at this Tucker Carlson event.
Much about you. What I knew is that I was told I shouldn't like you. I don't even know why I shouldn't like you. And this is before I knew you and started listening to you. But what I knew was you shouldn't like him.
Absolutely.
Without even knowing why. And now I see that they're using that like that weapon so that I don't get to talk to you, don't get to hear what you have to say. But I found that to be very interesting.
Yeah. I mean, 30 years ago, I was one of the only people prominently exposed to the whole global world government thing. So they just picked me out for destruction early and tried to inoculate people psychologically that was bad. And then lied about stuff I said or took something out of context. That's what it was. But and that's why I'm glad we kind of fought back with the people that actually hear what we're actually covering. People can see everything we're covering is actually happening in front of them. So.
But why is it so effective? Even today, I see, and not just from what we may say, the left, but it looks like people from my side of the aisle as well, that they use it when they don't want someone to hear what someone has to say.
Yeah, I mean, that's just information control.
Like you can't talk to them. If you talk to them, then you're them, right?
Well, they tried that with Trump too, but he's broken through.
I love it.
Well, I appreciate you, ladies. I look forward to seeing you guys tonight.
So you hear there, she says, I didn't even know much about you. Just what I've been told, and I've been told not to like you. So I didn't. And I've gone on and on with the narrative that's been fed to me by the powers that be. This is that character assassination stuff. This is when people look at you, and because other people have said bad things about you, they don't give you a chance at all. This is how the media, the government, all these celebrities, all these big-time players are able to stay in these big-time positions of power because they run and rule it all and get to feed us whatever nonsense, whatever propaganda they want to feed us. And just like we always do, we feed into the little frenzy with them and assume it's all true, right? Guys, we got to stand up and start digging in. We've got to open our eyes, stop sleeping at the wheel, and take control and start looking for truth. Because we live in a world full of lies right now, guys. A world full of lies. You might not like InfoWars. You might not like Alex Jones. I mean, he says some pretty crazy stuff sometimes. And I say crazy. I use the word crazy lightly here because, quite honestly, I think Alex Jones probably feeds the public a lot more truth than your mainstream media does. You guys tuning in to these paid-for government propagandists, the paid-for media, state media, and they are feeding you lies, guys. Feeding you lie after lie after lie. Don't buy into that garbage. You might not have to listen to Alex Jones, heck, but here's one thing you need to understand. If they're able to cut off people like this, they're able to cut down and destroy people like Alex Jones. They've attempted it with Trump, as you just heard Alex Jones say. They've done it to a lot of people, man. Powerful people. People with money. I'm just a little guy. I got no money, bro. I'm broke as I can be right now, trying to tell you guys, trying to expose you guys to just a little bit of that truth. They could destroy my whole world without even trying. Why do we let these people have this power? Why do we let them do these things? They are 1%. We are 99%. They're supposed to work for us, not the other way around. They certainly aren't supposed to be in these positions, lying to us, weaponizing our legal systems, weaponizing our government against the people, against truth. It isn't supposed to be this way. Big things happening, guys. Big things happening right now. We need to figure out what's going on here because this is crazy. Let's hear from InfoWars, what they have to say about this.
All right, guys, I've been getting a lot of messages about the breaking news about InfoWars, so I figured I would come on here and just make a public statement. Let me start with this. I've never been more proud of the work that I've done at InfoWars. You see, when I left sports media in 2016 to get into political commentary, it was InfoWars that invited me in. It was InfoWars that offered me a job. I was an anti-government guy. I was an anti-lying media guy. I was an anti-lying politician guy. And quite frankly, for somebody like me to break into the political media like that was not an easy thing to do. And there weren't really platforms out there that would host a guy like me or eventually give me a show and allow me to create my own content in the way that I see fit. But InfoWars did. And it's now total confirmation that I made the right decision. And let me tell you, it was a decision that came with a lot of consequences. Some obvious. I was put in prison. I've been sued multiple times. I've been attacked. I've been assaulted. I've been censored across the internet. I get blackballed from pretty much, or have been in the past, from pretty much all conservative outlets. But you notice that the narrative is changing. You notice that everybody sounds like InfoWars now. You notice that everybody wants to have Alex Jones on now. Because they're realizing Alex Jones and InfoWars were not censored, were not attacked, and now as of today, being shut down and liquidated, not for lying, but for telling the truth. Because you see, if it was for lying, then wouldn't it be the mainstream media on trial? Trump-Russia collusion, Hunter Biden laptop is fake, vaccines are safe and effective, weapons of mass destruction. Should I go on? So no, I've never been more proud of my work at InfoWars than I am today. I've never had total confirmation that I joined the right team of telling the truth and anti-corruption media than today when I joined InfoWars. And now, yet again, at this level of the InfoWars saga, people will see how the First Amendment and free speech is under attack, and all the weapons they will use against Americans to try to take your rights from you and shut you down if you won't be silenced. Now, that's all I'm going to say on this. I'm not going to comment on the court developments or the legalese. I would advise you to tune into the Alex Jones Show tomorrow. This is his company. This is his story. I was just honored to be a part of it. But stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen. We're in a fight for the future of this country. We're in a fight for freedom. We're in a fight for truth. And it's never been more proof positive that I made the right decision in that choice to join InfoWars, and I've never been more proud of the work I've done at InfoWars than I am today.
So I have to agree that we are absolutely under attack for our First Amendment rights, the right to free speech. They're shutting down. Isn't it interesting, though? We don't see any left-wing commentators being shut down in this way. We don't see any attacks on leftist politicians who come out with their violent rhetoric. None of that's happening. They're allowed to do these things, allowed to say what they want. Nobody blinks an eye. But it's just these people on the right. Just 2-3 weeks ago, started trying to shut down Benny Johnson and Tim Pool just a couple of weeks ago, as well as a few others, claiming that they were Russian propagandists. Anything to assassinate the character and shut down the channel, to silence the voice. They've already silenced our voice. Heck, we don't even get 50 views a day anymore. Used to get a lot. We used to get close to 10,000 views a day. Now we get 50. I was talking to a friend the other day who said he had another friend who about the same time as we did started political commentary, where he's pro Kamala Harris, pro Democrat, pro all of that, and his channel is booming. He's never had more views. His channel is exploding right now. Why? Because he's not on the right. Because he's not a conservative. Because he's not in support of conservative values. This is the America we live in today. A one-sided propaganda nation where you either align with the left or you're not allowed to speak. We'll shut you down. We'll take all your money. We'll drain your bank accounts. We'll take all your equipment. We'll sell it off. We'll end your business. This is the America that we will live in under Kamala Harris. Make no mistake about that. Under Kamala Harris, this is the America you will live in. So the beginning of this, we started off with, you got to get mad. You got to get angry. I'm a human. I'm a person, and I have value. We got to send that message in a big way in November, guys. A big, big way. If they let us get that far. Because there's a lot of other things going on right now that make me wonder what the heck is going on. Let's take a look at this one here. This says, something is happening in Congress. We'll share more on today's podcast. We're going to have to tune into Santa Surfing's podcast and find out what this person knows. U.S. lawmakers plan for possible mass casualty event, proposing a constitutional amendment to replace members quickly and change various lines of succession in a national crisis. Well, what are they worried about? What's happening that this is such a dire issue all of a sudden that we need to be ready to replace members of Congress en masse? Do they have something planned? Do they know something's coming? Is there a threat on America that they're not telling us about? Is this about the Epstein Diddy tapes, maybe? I mean, what's happening? Is a bunch of people about to be arrested? The way they make this sound, it's planning for the deaths of a lot of politicians all of a sudden. Well, I would sure hope that that's not something that we're actually facing in this country. And if it is, why aren't we being told about this what could be a very serious situation? Is it about powers not changing hands? Could it be that? We did have this Representative Raskin out just, 2 months ago, claiming that if Donald Trump wins in November, we can't let him take power. We have to implement a civil war-like condition to keep him from taking power. Is this a Democrat plan that they're putting forth? I mean, what is going on here? They're not giving us any information, so all we can do is speculate. But it is quite disturbing.
Folks, Jeremy Harrell, LFA TV here. Look, I've got some really concerning news to bring to your attention. And anytime that Democrats and Republicans are working together in Congress, it immediately throws up red flags for me, because we don't live in a world where they ever work together, and they're always all after their own interests. Right now, they have a Democrat who is putting forth a bill for an amendment pertaining to what happens if there are mass casualties in Congress. That means many people in Congress dying all at once. Kind of funny they're doing this right before the 2020 election, isn't it? So the bill, if passed, is being proposed as something similar to what happens if a senator from a state passes away. The governor of that state appoints another senator to take that senator's place until there's a special election. Well, now they are advocating for the same thing to happen in the House of Representatives if a mass casualty happens and many, many House of Representatives, congressmen and women die at once, in order to emergency fill those seats and keep the government running, because, you know, the world would stop existing if the government just didn't run for a day and take all of our money and squander us and screw us and all that. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. They are gearing up and they are getting ready in case something like that happens. And then what would happen is the governor of that state would pick from a list that is basically put together by each congressperson. So each congressperson would be asked to make a list of 5 people that they would like to take their place if something were to happen, God forbid. And of those 5 people, the governor of that state will choose from those 5 people Who is going to fill that seat in an emergency situation and then have a special election for that seat later on? First of all, you and I know that special election would be delayed and delayed and delayed and delayed. Second of all, why are both Republicans and Democrats worried about a mass casualty event?
Absolutely.
In Congress.
Why are they worried about
would
this?
Die. And the only conclusion I've come to is that Donald Trump is going to win the election in November. And much like they've accused him of, they're not going to want the peaceful transition of power. They're actually...
Guys, it's like I say, anything they accuse the conservatives of, it's because they already are doing it or already are planning it. So this actually kind of makes a lot of sense. Whether or not that's what they're doing or planning remains to be seen. But I guess we'll be finding out in just, we're getting closer and closer. We got less than... looks like 6 weeks-ish.
Going to prevent the peaceful transition of power. And they're getting ready for whatever happens after that. And that's not me saying that. That's my assessment based on what Representative Jamie Raskin said 2 months ago when he said, we've got to do whatever we can, including not certify this election and hand over power to President Trump ever again. Folks, we're in dark times, and when they're working together on something like this, sounds to me like they're up to something nefarious. Do me a favor, share this video to your stories, share it on your Facebook pages, whatever, because if they're gearing up, you should be gearing up for any and everything to happen.
Absolutely.
You know, over their dead body, do they want President Trump back in that White House?
Well, they've made that clear. 2 assassination attempts, a chemical attack, supposedly a chemical attack on one of his rallies. Now, the latest Secret Service, or not Secret Service, the DOJ comes out and releases a manifesto-type letter to the public. We don't have letters, manifestos. None of this stuff ever gets released to us when there's a shooter here or somebody does something terrible or tries to kill a lot of people or does succeed in that. We never hear about this stuff. They never give. It'll be 20 years before we ever see any of these manifestos or these letters. But here, Trump assassin Ryan Routh had 6 cell phones and suggests that he was likely directly with a 3-letter agency. Well, it actually, what makes it a little more convincing is the fact that they released this letter where this man says, I tried to kill the president, I failed, but someone else should go through with it. And if so, I'll pay them. Why would they release this? Why would the DOJ release this letter? This man's in prison. He can't release this letter. He can't put this claim out there, this essential hit or bounty on a candidate, on a presidential candidate, a former president. They've got him locked away. He's powerless at this point. Why not leave him powerless? What in the hell kind of sense did it make to put that letter out to the public? This is the same DOJ, by the way, that is actively working their asses off to try to throw this man in prison. Not this man, but Donald Trump in prison. And they released this letter to the public? Come on, guys. Come on, man. What in the hell were you thinking? I think we kind of know what they're thinking, right? I mean, it don't take a genius, does it? Goodness gracious. What in the hell is going on in this country, man? I'm telling you, there's some crazy, crazy stuff happening. More on that D.C. issue. 6,000 U.S. Marshals called to D.C. What for? I don't know. Let's take a listen to this real quick.
Okay, so here's what he just sent me. This is D.C. Hey, buddy, just giving you a heads up. Please have everyone say a prayer for me. There are over 6,000 U.S. Marshals that have been pulled out and are heading to D.C. Everything is being fenced up. The White House, too. This is like a major, major, major thing. They never, ever call out the U.S. Marshals. They're not calling out the Secret Service. They're calling out the U.S. Marshals, of which he is one. It's big, covered. It's big.
So this is a message that's sent to this gentleman that's speaking. He has a friend who is a U.S. Marshal, and his friend reached out to him and let him know, hey, I don't know what's going on, but there's something big going down. And they've called 6,000 of us to D.C.
Cover us in prayer. I said, is this something I can tell everyone, and are you being called up specifically? Yes, you can tell everyone. I'm packing now with lots of gear. I won't be back until possibly next week sometime, depending on what takes place. But this is a major move, and a lot of wily arrests will be happening. It's big. Okay, he said, I did a show Monday night on YouTube about being 3 shooters, and I have the evidence for it and was showing it, and the FBI removed my stuff, absolutely removed it. I had a lot of people mad at me because the video got removed, but nothing I could do about it.
More censorship.
And also, New York officers were sworn in today in D.C., which I've seen a picture of that. It's big, whatever's taking place.
Well, we continue to wonder.
I was a police officer and then went into work in drug enforcement with ATF and the DEA and was sworn in years ago as U.S. Marshal. They just pull you back whenever they need you. Said, nope, you can say anything you want. It's about to be very public.
It's about to be very public.
All right. So looks like 6,000 U.S. Marshals, according to D.C., are headed to Washington, D.C. Big stuff happening. Okay. And that's all I know. I don't. Yeah, that's all I know. That's what he said.
Well, that's all we know. Lots of speculation, guys. Like I said, I started this video out telling you something big is happening. There's big things happening. There's silencing voices on the right. They're taking away our voice. They're shutting down our First Amendment rights. And on top of that, something big is taking place in D.C. What could this be? Anybody got any thoughts, any suggestions? We've been digging and digging all day trying to figure out what exactly is this all about? What are they talking about? What is the deal? I don't have much more than what I've just shown you. As far as that goes, that's about all I've been able to find on it all. Still just left with questions at this point. The Alex Jones InfoWars thing is huge. Don't understand how or why a judge thinks they can shut down a person's business and part out their personal belongings for a civil court case like this. It's just essentially, I've heard of people having their wages garnished to pay bills, but when you shut down a person's essentially career, their job, their company, well, they can't really make any more wages, can they? I don't understand the logic here. Seems like if you really wanted to pay this debt, you would have just garnish his wages, have him pay overtime as he continues to make this money. But he can't make money if you're shutting his show down, shutting his website down, selling it off, piecing it out. They're going in, I heard the auction is supposed to be in November for those things. And then they're going to go in and take all of his equipment, his studio equipment, his cameras, his lighting, all of that stuff is going to be taken in December for another auction. Meanwhile, nothing happens when the left pulls their corrupt stunts. Perfect example right here.
The Clinton machine just got caught red-handed. ADC court ruled Hillary's 2016 campaign violated federal law to the tune of $6 million.
This is
$6 million. That's 45 times bigger than Trump's so-called $130,000 violation. While the left's been obsessing over Trump's legal fees, Hillary's been playing fast and loose with campaign finance laws. Her super PAC, Correct the Record, coordinated millions in spending without proper disclosure. Talk about cooking the books. Remember when Hillary's camp paid that measly $113,000 fine for hiding Steele dossier payments? Chump change compared to this bombshell.
More
Meanwhile,
fake news.
Trump faces jail time for perfectly legal
surrounding that
business
dossier.
expenses. The double standard is mind-blowing.
No one held accountable.
Wake up, America. This two-tier justice system is rotten to the core. Hillary skates while Trump gets railroaded. It's time to drain the swamp once and for all.
Agreed, guys. We've got to show up in November and vote, because that's the only power we have at this point. That is your most powerful weapon, is those votes. They do not want those votes. They do not want you voting them out of office, but we have the power to do it. You need to show up in November strong and make your vote count. They keep calling the right and the conservatives the violent party of violence, the party of racism, the party of division. I don't see that, man. I see a lot of that coming out of the left, but you don't see that coming out of the right. So I don't know where they're getting this from. Let's take a look right now at exactly what I'm talking about here.
I just don't even know why there aren't uprisings all over the country, and maybe there will be.
People need to start taking to the streets. This is a dictator.
You know, there needs to be unrest in the streets for as long as there's unrest in our lives.
Enemies of the state.
Show me where it says that protests are supposed to be polite and peaceful.
Do something about your dad's immigration practices, you feckless.
When they go low, we kick them.
How do you resist the temptation to run up and wring her neck?
The biggest terror threat in this country is white men, most of them radicalized up to the right.
I thought he should have punched him in the face. I said, even if you lost, he insulted your wife.
Yes.
He came down the escalator and called Mexicans rapists and murderers. He said, well, what do you think I should have done? I said, I think you should have punched him in the face and then gotten out of the race. You would have been a hero.
I'd like to punch him in the face. I said if we were in high school, I'd take him behind the gym and beat the hell out of him.
Punch some people in the face!
When was the last time an actor assassinated a president?
They're still going to have to go out and put a bullet in Donald Trump, and that's a fact.
Wow.
Look, as his character is stabbed to death.
Where is John Wilkes Booth when you need him?
That's it right there. Pull it up. I have thought an awful lot about blowing up the White House.
A Missouri state senator is under investigation by the Secret Service after saying she hopes President Trump is assassinated.
I will go and take Trump out tonight.
And if you see anybody from that cabinet in a restaurant, in a department store, at a gasoline station, you get out and you create a crowd. And you push back on them. And you tell them they're not welcome anymore, anywhere.
And sadly, the domestic enemies to our voting system and our honoring our Constitution are right at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue.
They're not going to stop before Election Day in November, and they're not going to stop after Election Day. And that should be, everyone should take note of that on both levels, that this isn't, they're not going to let up, and they should not.
If you think we're rallying now, you ain't seen nothing yet.
Well, but we're the violent ones. We're the angry ones. We're the divisive ones on the right. The only thing they go back to when you talk about all this is, oh, what about J6? What about the insurrection? What about that? Because we've heard over and over that Nancy Pelosi was offered the National Guard. That was Nancy's Washington. That was Nancy's capital. Nancy had the opportunity to make sure that there was no civil unrest. There was enough personnel on scene to contain that situation. But she didn't. She actually turned it down. They don't like to talk about this, but let's hear Nancy in her own words.
Nobody comes, I want to punch him out. This is why
I want to punch him out.
For trespassing on the Capitol grounds.
Listen to that again.
You've been waiting for this. For trespassing.
I've been waiting for this. For trespassing on the Capitol grounds. That's what she just said, guys. Listen to this. Listen closely.
I want to punch him out. This is why you've been waiting for this. For trespassing on the Capitol grounds. I'm going to punch him out. I'm going to go to jail. And I'm going to be happy.
I've been waiting for
She
this.
said I've been
trespassing on Capitol.
Let me play it again. She says that.
Nobody comes, I want to punch him out. This is why you've been waiting for this. For trespassing. The trespassing.
She spells out the name of the crime.
She calls out, I've been waiting for this, trespassing on the She just says it. And if you've been waiting for this, why didn't you request, because it was her responsibility to request.
Why did you deny? It wasn't just her negligence in forgetting to request it. She denied the sergeant at arms from actually supplying it and Donald Trump's request.
So she's been waiting for this, guys. Trespassing on the Capitol grounds. It was her job to make sure that didn't happen. We heard her saying that in a car ride she was taking with her daughter recording. It was her job to prevent this. But yet they point the finger at the right. They point the finger at Donald Trump, who was on multiple occasions that day calling for peace. Those tapes got erased. We tried to show you one on here just a few weeks ago, but the Google tube completely shut down our video and censored it and wouldn't let us put it out because it had that clip in it. The clip of Donald Trump before the riots started, before anyone entered the Capitol building, saying, "Let's be peaceful. Go home. We'll take care of it." Don't want you to know that. Don't want you to see that. You can't know that. That goes against the narrative. Truth can't be told when you don't want to tell the truth. If you tell the truth, you expose the lies. We want you to believe the lies, so just buy the lies. That's why there's only, 15, 20 minutes worth of J6 footage that's been ran and just replayed over and over and over and over again. Just the bad parts. Why? Because 27,000 hours, is it 27,000? Let's see. January 6th shows new footage of Capitol attack. 12 minutes of violent, previously unseen footage. 5,000 more hours? 41,000 hours. And they're all calling it lies. Of course, handed some 41,000 hours of J6 footage. So, according to this is PBS News, of course. Can't believe anything that they're saying here because they're paid for state media. But they're saying 41,000 hours of J6 footage was released. 41,000 hours was released to Tucker Carlson, apparently, of J6 footage. I'm assuming it's got to be because you added up all of these different cameras that were taking all this footage. 41,000 hours, guys. I mean, think about that. 41,000 hours. So you see 12 minutes of footage, 12 to 15 minutes that they play over and over and over. And yet there's 41,000 hours of footage that just absolutely paints a different picture of what went on there. Was there violence? Yes, there was. There was violence that day. Absolutely. To say that there wasn't would be a lie. That would be an understatement. There was definitely violence on January 6th. Was it the picture they painted for us with 12 minutes of footage? No, it surely wasn't. There was a lot going on that day and a lot more that needs to be talked about. But as we can see, they're not going to tell us those things. They're just going to keep lying to us, just like they're lying to us about everything going on in the numbers. They're telling us that we're better off. We're better off these days under Biden-Harris administration than we were under Trump. We're better off. The country's better off. The people are better off. The economy's better off. We're doing better than when Trump was here. Trump was a disaster, an absolute disaster. But the numbers tell a different story, guys. Just more propaganda. You can't listen to this propaganda. When they're telling you these things, you need to fact check them. You need to look it up, and you need to decide, which way would I rather it be? Would I rather it be this way, or would I rather it be that way? Were these numbers really better? Was the economy really better under Biden-Harris? Well, let's just take a look here. Let's hear the numbers.
Why don't they talk about what's really important to all of us? Do me a favor and take a breath. Don't scroll. Watch the numbers I'm going to give you. A lot of you on the left are arguing about emotion. A lot of you on the right are arguing that it's about, hey, 4 years ago, this, that, and the other. Let's get real numbers that you can now sink your teeth into. If you're on the left, you're going to find out exactly what Harris Biden have done. If you're on the right, you're going to find out exactly what Trump did. This is not a chart I made up. This is an actual chart put together based on the Federal Reserve, the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the Energy Information Agency, and the NASDAQ. These are real numbers that you can sink your teeth into, that you can take to work and show them at the water cooler, that you can have after dinner if there's an argument about politics. Let's just take the emotion out and talk about numbers. The inflation rate year over year under Trump, 1.89%. Under Biden-Harris, 5.28%. Inflation cumulative, 7.8% higher under Trump, 19.2% higher under Biden-Harris. Average gas price under Trump down 5.4% to $2.49 average, up 46.6% under Biden-Harris, $3.50 average. 30-year mortgage rates down 34.8% under Trump, 3.86% average, up 132% under Biden-Harris, 5.45% average if you can get a mortgage. Average rent cost,
but wait,
up 11.8% under Trump.
I thought that things are better under Biden. So far, this chart has to be a lie, right? No, it's got to be a lie. It's propaganda. Come on, guys. This is the point I'm trying to make. They lie to you on the media. The mainstream media is lying in every turn. Almost every headline you see, especially if it's talking about politics, you can almost bet 100% it's a lie. It is propaganda. It is meant to mislead you. When Kamala Harris stands up there on stage talking about how they're delivering on this and they're delivering on that, and the country was so bad under Biden or under Trump, which she doesn't even say that actually. She was asked specifically recently whether or not she believed the country was better under Trump than it is under the current administration. And did she answer the question? No. In typical Kamala fashion, she gives us this roundabout answer. I grew up from a middle-class family. Kamala, we don't care how you grew up. We care about what you're going to do for the country if you become the president. And I'm going to tell you guys, everything we've been talking about today is what we will have a lot more of under a Kamala Harris presidency. We will have censorship. We will have silenced voices. We will have our freedoms taken away. We will have a lying mainstream media paid for by the government, by the people that are the propagandists that are putting this garbage out there. These lies is all you will get, and you'll get more of it. You're going to have people on the right being persecuted. You're going to have show trials and fake charges being brought up at every turn for the people they don't like, for the people they don't want to be talking. You're going to have silenced voices. You can bet you're going to have your Second Amendment right infringed upon as well. She's been very clear about that. She's already trying to get rid of the filibuster now. The Senate filibuster. This is a cornerstone in why our Senate is so amazing and why our laws are so great, because we have our government is built around this ability, these checks and balances that keep one powerful side from just bulldozing the rest of everybody else and essentially walking over the country with their directives, essentially destroying the country, which is what this lady wants to do. And as she's pushing for the filibuster to be removed, to be done away with, we're going to get rid of the filibuster because that's standing in the way of her getting to do whatever she wants, her getting to just sign away with her little pen, as she likes to talk about, her little pen, her mighty little pen. Guys, we cannot let this person become the president. She cannot. All this hate, all this stuff, all this propaganda, all these things they say. And we wonder why they've taken multiple shots at President Trump and why they're threatening more violence against Trump at this point. Just had Matt Gaetz out the other day talking about hit teams in the United States. Militant groups intent on destroying our way of life. How? Well, from what Gaetz is saying, they have their sights set on our presidential candidate, a former president. What's being done about this stuff? What's being done about these things? It doesn't seem like a lot's being done at all because they're too busy at this point. They're just too busy trying to silence voices like mine. Too busy trying to bury Alex Jones at this point. Too busy making up more charges for Trump. Lying to the American people. Telling us the economy's great and that everything's great. We must just all be a bunch of whiners. Having to pay this much.
1.6% under Biden-Harris. NASDAQ Composite was up 138.2% under Trump, up 39.4% under Biden-Harris. Grocery prices up 6.5%.
Is that what they're basing their economy on? Okay, so that one number, did you see that? The NASDAQ was up 38 under Trump, 39 under Biden. If you're basing your whole, the economy's better under Biden off of that one number, off of that 1 percentage point, and ignoring all the rest of these numbers, well, we got a problem.
0.9% under Biden-Harris. Electricity prices were up 4.2% under Trump, up almost 30% at 29.6% under Biden-Harris. And real hourly wages, a big indicator, up almost 7% under Trump, 6.8%, down 2.2% under Biden-Harris. These are real numbers that I didn't make up. These are numbers you can go and research and verify. These are numbers that are based on July 12th, 2024. The jobs numbers, of course, got worse since then with a readjustment down by about 1 million jobs. Now, get emotional if you want and complain about somebody's hair or how they tweet or whatever or their age. Or you can actually look at numbers and decide who was the better CEO, who was the better person in charge. Because Harris is no different than Biden, except she's a little more progressive, more liberal on policies, which will cost everybody even more money should she win. Any questions on this, make sure that you post them right here. Make sure you share this, and I appreciate you staying till the end of the video. It's important that we have real knowledge, and that's what I just gave you. Come on.
He's got a good one there. Guys, tune into that podcast if you get a chance. Guys, that's all the time I got for you today. Look, like I keep saying, the numbers don't lie. The media lies. The numbers don't lie. The politicians lie. But the numbers don't lie. You want truth or you want liars? Because there's a whole lot of liars out there pumping out a whole bunch of propaganda. We got to do what's right. We got to hold back. Get angry. Do get angry. But don't fall into the trap. There's no room for violence. They want to keep calling us the violent ones, yet all we see is violence coming from the left. Let them paint themselves into that box. Let them prove to the world who they really are. Because we're going to prove who we really are. We're the people that are going to show up and vote. On November, we're going to show up November the 5th. We're going to vote. And we're going to get these people out of office the legal way, the right way. Whatever they got planned in D.C., whatever this stuff is that's going on, guys, don't fall into the trap. Guys, I hope you enjoy this. Please like and share and subscribe to this podcast because goodness gracious, they are keeping us down. They've got their foot on our throat at this point. They are trying to silence us. They're trying to silence all the voices like us that are trying to tell the truth and trying to get you guys to see through the bullshit. Until next week, stay free. Be blessed. Peace.